What's up, witches? My name is Taylor, and I'm the Tempest Witch here on YouTube, and today we're talking about raspberries. I'm sure if you're living in America as it stands, you know what raspberries are. They're these delightful little tart fruits that you can get usually in a container about this big for like $5 or $6. If you're lucky enough to have family members like myself who have bushels of them, you can get a big jar for free. This is the end of the season, so I only got about a jar this big for my grandmother. In the weeks prior, my parents, my brother, my cousins, my aunts and uncles have all taken buckets of these berries from the bushel, so they're very abundant if you can get them to establish themselves. Highly recommend. And also what's really cool about them is that they're very magical. So in addition to being very medicinal, which we will get to in a second, because raspberry brambles are full of thorns, they're very protective. So if you plant them in direct sun, because they really like the sunshine, somewhere near the front of your house or in the back of your house, if you establish them and ask them to be protective wards, like we talked about in previous videos, you've got a huge thicket of thorns protecting your space. How cool is that? My great-grandmother had a huge thicket of raspberries in her backyard my entire life, my parents' entire lives. So when she was going to be moved into a nursing home, my grandmother and my uncle and my mom, they all took pieces of this raspberry thicket and planted them in their own yards, which then established their own bramble. So now my grandmother, when I went over there last week to go visit her, she gave me some of the defiant cuttings that had lived and started growing outside of her fence. So now I have a third generation raspberry thicket growing, which is just really delightful. And because it's been passed down generationally, the spirit of the plant knows me. If you have anyone in your family who can grow or has raspberry thickets on their property, taking some of that with you is a lot more connected than if you just find them out in the wild, which you can, but if you have access to that, I highly recommend it. That was a long introduction. We're gonna drink some more caffeine because oofta. I'm sorry about my long hiatus. I went on my trip with Kat and then everything's kind of been all up in the air in my life, so I've been taking a second for myself, and so I haven't been recording much. We had some stuff pre-recorded that we've been releasing, but I woke up today and I'm like, we're feeling like it's gonna be a good day. We're gonna caffeinate ourselves a little bit and we're gonna get going, so here we are. Let's continue. Raspberry leaf is almost more important than raspberries themselves. Raspberries grow with these beautiful serrated leaves, right? So they've got these little divots in all of them. They're very veiny. They're much lighter on the underside than the top side, and they're not fuzzy, but they're not smooth. There's a texture to them that is soft. It's not very rough, but it is textured. So they're really easy to identify because raspberries grow pretty abundantly in the wild. If you're able to find a wild raspberry thicket, they're really hard to mistake for anything else. So look for the leaves. They usually grow in sets of 3 like this on long tendrils like you will see when I show you the raspberry bush that I have now. Obviously, the fruit can be used for jams, jellies, dessert toppings, smoothies, anything you can put fruit in, you can put raspberries in. And again, they're really hard to mistake because they are a very red berry. Obviously, they'll stain. So if you have a raspberry thicket anywhere near you, you know that if you go into the thicket, you're coming out, you're going to be covered in red splotches. So keep that in mind if you're looking for them or you're working with them, just because you're gonna get red all over you. So just wear clothes that you don't care about. You'll be fine. Also, what's fun is if you're in the thicket, after a while, you get used to the thorns kind of grabbing at you. They're not super sharp, but they do catch very easily on skin and clothes. I had a very large thicket of black raspberries against one of the sheds in my backyard growing up, So when I was younger, I thought that it hurt really bad to get caught on you and they kind of grab onto your arms. But it's been happening for so long that at this point I just go, take them off, keep going, and it's not a big deal. So if you have a really low pain tolerance, this might be an issue. Yada, yada, yada. This is the beginning part of any recipe where it's like, when I was 3 years old, my dad was a sailor. All right, we're getting past that. We're getting into the medicinal things now. This is all you really care about, so let's go. Scott didn't have much to say. Raspberry, rubeus, ideas. We're gonna go with that. European raspberry, red raspberry. The gender is feminine. The planet is Venus. The element is water. And the powers are protection and love. Basically, it's really good for women and pregnancy. Don't use this during the first trimester because it does cause uterine toning. Keep that in mind. If you want to keep a bramble on your property, you can ask it to be a ward for protection. You can then take part of the bramble and dry it and put it by your doors for protection. Real simple, straight to the point. Thanks, Scott. Before I get into it, I'll give you the general gist of raspberries. Raspberries are an astringent, and people typically have used the leaves as a uterine astringent, so this helps with menstrual cramping, and in the third trimester of pregnancy, it's really great because it helps tone all of the muscles in there, and it just overall has been considered the woman's herb. Take that with a grain of salt. But basically, if you are a person with uterus, this is really helpful in the sense that it's going to make cramps less painful, especially during menstruation. It's also full of really good nutrients to keep your body kind of functioning, because when you're menstruating, you lose a bunch of nutrients. So it helps kind of replenish that. It's good if you use it as a topical ointment for your face, kind of like roses. It's an astringent, so it's good for tightening and toning your face. Overall, it's pretty great. It's kind of like a natural Midol. It helps just ease everything, so that's pretty cool. Now to get into the nitty-gritty, a couple recipes from Grandma Putt. Obviously, like I said, raspberry leaf is uterine tonic, helps relieve cramping and pelvic congestion. To make a tea, steep 1 teaspoon of raspberry leaves in 1 cup of hot water for 10 minutes and then strain. Drink 1 to 2 cups daily. It's best to take every couple days for several weeks, just to kind of keep that toning going. That's Grandma, thank you. Herbs for health and healing. So along with cramp bark, false unicorn horn, and motherwort, red raspberry leaf has been used by herbalists for hundreds of years to ease uterine pain, reduce inflammation, and stop cramps. I thought this one was cool, so I figured I would just share it as well. You can use red raspberry leaf to make a natural ginger ale. So it's just 1 teaspoon of thinly sliced fresh ginger, and then 1 teaspoon of red raspberry leaf, 3 cups of water, 1 cup carbonated water, and 1 slice of lemon. You combine all the herbs and the plain water into a saucepan, you bring it to a boil, turn down the heat and simmer for about 5 minutes, remove it from the heat, steep for 10 minutes, strain out the herbs, add the carbonated water and the lemon, and you've got natural ginger ale. How cool is that? Oh, another thing that's cool. So I found out that some people make their pickles when they can them with an oak leaf because there's a bunch of tannins in them, and tannins are what keep things crispy. So that's why sometimes when you make pickles, they're kind of floppy and they're all right, but they're not you crunch into it and it's delightful. Red raspberry leaf also has a bunch of these tannins in it. So if you don't have any oaks near you, you can use red raspberry leaf as a substitute to keep your pickles crispy. I didn't know that. Now you know that too. Midwest medicinal plants. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. So red raspberries come in 2 different varieties. You've got the really red, normal raspberries, and then these are the ones that my parents had growing up. These are what I'm used to. They're usually much smaller, but they grow a lot faster and they're a little bit sweeter in my opinion. Different varieties, same fruit. Oh no, I guess they're different. Red raspberry is Rubeus ideus, like we said earlier, but the black raspberry is Rubeus occidentalis. Like an astringent for your face, it is also an astringent for really weepy wounds. So if you have poison ivy rash, you can take this, make it into a salve, and then just put that on that, and that will help draw out all of the weeping in your wound. So that's super nifty for wildcrafting. Some of the nutrients that I was talking about, just to be specific, red raspberry is high in calcium, iron, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, as well as vitamins A, B, C, and E. Super mineral dense. It's super mineral dense as a tea, so people highly recommend it. That's why I have so many different references in these books. Everyone's like, it's really good for the uterus, it's really good for your skin, and it's got a whole bunch of nutrients in it, and it's very beneficial. So A++, 10 out of 10 plant. See, but this book says that you should boil the leaves for 20 minutes. That book said for 10 minutes. Somewhere in there, I'm sure it's to your own liking. Usually when you boil it for less time, it's got a lighter taste, more like green tea, I've heard. And then if you boil it for longer, it has more of a black tea, but like a light black tea taste. So depending on what your preference is, boil it for however long you'd like. Red raspberry mixes well in a tea with nettle, oat straw, and red clover. You can also add aromatics as spice bush and barks from aspen, birch, or tulip poplar, just as a spice for the beverage, so that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, and it's also helpful to incorporate with herbal therapies to support hormone balances, so especially in the weeks leading up to you giving birth and then the weeks after, like postpartum, it helps to rejuvenate all those minerals and nutrients that you've lost from all of that extra effort that you did from growing a whole ass human. So keep this in mind, but definitely do not use red raspberry leaf during the first trimester. Cool. The Green Pharmacy. For canker sores, this is a whole section on canker sores. Raspberries in certain cultures, such as the Mi'kmaq population in Canada, have used raspberries to treat all kinds of sores as it's an astringent. So the leaves, roots, and bark, rather than the fruits, contain analgesic, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory and antiseptic compounds. These properties make raspberries a prime candidate for treating oral sores such as canker sores. I don't know what that word was. I'm gonna look that up later. But not right now, because that would be too put together, and that's not what we're here for. Whole section on pregnancy problems in the New Choices in Natural Healing book. Red raspberry leaf tones the uterine muscles, as we've said. Blah, 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 bunch of people. It's also rich in iron, making it pleasant tasting, all-purpose tea to drink daily during pregnancy. Just more things. We're toning the uterus. Thanks. I'm a hot mess. It's fine. We're doing great today. Pretty much the overall gist is raspberry is delicious as a fruit, but the leaves are also just as beneficial, and you should keep that in mind. I hope y'all had a good day. I'm having a great day, and I'm gonna continue to have a great day because I choose to make it a good day. In the words of Jake Monroe, he chooses to have a good day every day, so I'm gonna choose to have a good day today. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this, but until next time, skål, my friends.